world is on the brink of a major conflict. That's nothing you don't know. And the stakes have never been higher. In a stunning move, President Trump's now deployed stealth bombers, sending a clear message of strength and resolve, but to whom? Meanwhile, Putin now vows to finish them off, intensifying tensions. But as these global giants absolutely clash, what happens? Little Zelenskyy deals the final nail in the coffin that could change the course of history. So brace for impact. As we break down the latest developments and the dangerous road ahead, don't miss a second. This is a story you need to hear today. So some major breaking news. First, I want to give credit to the Trump administration first for this common sense answer that took over 4 years to finally get from someone, because the Democrats could never give this simple answer.
First of all, keeping men out of women's sports, and you platform so many...
That was an easy one. That was crazy.
You platform so many great women, like your chief of staff, Susie Wiles. You also have Caroline Levitt doing a great job as press secretary. Now Alina will be joining as well. Since Democrats seem to struggle answering this question, I wanted to ask you, what is a woman, and why is it important that we understand the difference between men and women?
Well, it's sort of easy to answer for me, because a woman is somebody that can have a baby under certain circumstances. She has a quality. A woman is a person who's much smarter than a man, I've always found. A woman is a person that doesn't give a man even a chance of success. And a woman's a person that in many cases has been treated very badly, because I think that what happens with this crazy issue of men being able to play in women's sports is just ridiculous and very unfair to women and very demeaning to women.
Of course, in my house, I'll agree with that statement, because a woman is far smarter than a man, because you know who I'm married to, because you're watching her channel right now. Of course, I also know what's good for me. But nonetheless, can't thank you all enough for being here today. Before we get to the major breaking stories, Zelenskyy putting the nail in the coffin. There's going to be very difficult now to reverse from what just happened. So we all just need to brace for impact, because things are near boiling over. And it's that boiling point that Trump and Putin, well, for all intents and purposes, Putin put a nuclear submarine outside of where J.D. Vance was in Greenland. Did you know that? Stealth bombers now deployed. Did you know that? No. That's why we don't follow U.S. mainstream media, because you can't, because you don't see the inner workings of what's happening. But we found it for you. We're going to bring it to you. But before I do, we're going to take a pause, because I need you to check something for me. Make sure you're subscribed to Lisa. Go ahead, take a minute. I'm serious. Double check that you're still subscribed. If you're new here, we'd love you to subscribe. And also, she's going to put a link above, or I'll put a link above. I need for you to click on that. That's for my channel. It would mean the world to me. Please, I'm going to give you a second. I'm going to double check, too, to make sure you subscribed. And also, before we kick in, because we're not going to want to stop once we begin, a quick word from our sponsor of this video.
Well, we've been told all our lives that these wrinkle creams that we are using on our face are the way to look younger. However, according to Dr. John Lake, he is a world-renowned Beverly Hills expert. He has just come out and stated that most of these wrinkle fixes are nothing but glorified moisturizers. Well, recently, Dr. Lake has focused his attention away from these mainstream practices so that he can focus on revolutionary anti-aging breakthroughs. His personal clients, including myself, have dubbed this do-it-yourself technology as the age rewinder method, because it literally takes decades off of your skin in the matter of minutes. I want to encourage you to check it out. All you have to do is go to bhmd1.com/haven, and they have this amazing video that's gone viral with over millions of views. Watch it, and you can learn a little bit about this amazing technology, and then take that next step to get better skin and better younger looking skin. Again, that's bhmd1.com/haven. If you're on your cell phone, click that more button to get more information, or click the link in the description box below. All right, back to the broadcast.
All right, so we're back. Now let's get into the details because you need details to have any of these stories take shape. First, Arctic Investment Forum kicks off today in Russia, the gateway to Earth's crown jewel. And that's what Russia feels about the Arctic. They always have. Remember, we've tried to have influence there before, and we've been unsuccessful. Russia controls 50% of Arctic resources. They believe crucial to global prosperity. I will tell you, Trump believes crucial to global prosperity, but it's above the resources, folks, and energy security. Time for Arctic diplomacy, which Russia tends to state when they are trying to delay things long enough to assure they can reinforce themselves against competing interests. I know, Russia. Trump and Putin are tight as thick as thieves, right? Don't think that for a moment, folks. Keep your enemies closer. And no, I still contest that does not have anything to do with Lindsey Graham, which I am still upset about Trump supporting, and I will continue to be upset about that. And that was from Dmitriev, who put that out. CEO of the Russian Direct Investment Fund and special envoy to the president of Russia for investment and economic cooperation, so you know how serious this becomes. Putin says rivalries are increasing in the Arctic, but economic cooperation is possible. You see how they resonate, the same talking point. It's the consistency I look for in those statements. Alluding to U.S. President Donald Trump's stated intention to acquire Greenland, which is all comes back around to, Putin said that he had nothing to do with Russia, but it was clear that the U.S. would continue to promote its interest in the Arctic. Do you think Putin's going to simply allow that to happen? Put it in the comments. I want to see your opinion before we advance forward. Do you think Putin's just simply going to roll over and allow Trump to take over Greenland? I wouldn't think that for a moment. It would be a grave mistake, he stated, to believe that Trump's plans to annex Greenland are just extravagant conversations. U.S. had such plans back in the 1860s, but they were not supported by Congress at the time. Russia is the largest Arctic power. We advocate for equal cooperation in the region. Putin saying equal cooperation is kind of obviously laughable. He said that at this big forum. Remembering that Russia controls 50 to 60% of the natural resources right now. United States at only 12 to 17%, Canada 10 to 15%, and Denmark at 7 to 12%. So now you start to understand the strategy, a little bit of the strategy behind the Greenland conversation, which is causing tension, especially when you hear statements like this.
We are concerned with the fact that the NATO countries increasingly identify the far north as a foothold for possible conflicts. They do military exercises in these conditions, primarily using the forces of their new recruits, Finland and Sweden, and up to recently we've had no issues with them. So somehow they create these with their own hands. Why? No idea. Nonetheless, we'll be guided by the actual situation. We'll respond to this.
He will respond to the situation. NATO coming back into the fold. NATO in the fold on Ukraine in the discussions with Putin. See, it all ties together. It always does, right? But Greenland's just a blip on the map, right? It sits right there. As you can see, an island that's often not the appropriate size on many maps. But it is this Arctic Ocean that controls everything. You see Canada, U.S., and Russia on the opposite side. Greenland sitting right there in a very strategic center. And what has Putin done? And why is he so sensitive about NATO involvement in Ukraine? Puts it really close to his border. What about U.S.? And now he says NATO involvement in Greenland puts it very close to his border. Very strategic, but it's all frozen over. Well, hold on for a second. Behind Trump's threat, why is Greenland so strategically important? J.D. Vance threatens Greenland and visit to where no one wanted to see, and Putin responded to this visit, by the way. Took one of his nuclear submarines and stationed it right on the border. This is how serious the situation is. Putin and Trump will hit a boiling point. It's the only way diplomacy happens. Trump knows this, and he's moving the chess pieces slowly around Putin and China, mind you. until it hits a point where negotiations will actually happen. Because if you think Putin responds to soft threats, not so well. No, until there's stealth bombers, missiles, military surrounding him, encroaching in on his border, then he'll hit the negotiating table. It's why nothing's happened in Ukraine, because he laughs at Starmer. He laughs at Macron. He laughed at Biden. They were no threat. And Zelensky, I wipe him off the table of being any threat. But you know my position on Zelensky. So what did Vance say in Greenland? Our message to Denmark is very simple. You have not done a good job by the people of Greenland. You have underinvested in the people of Greenland, and you have underinvested in the security architecture of this incredible, beautiful land, mass filled with incredible people. Of course, Vance's position on what to say when he goes to Greenland, but it's the strategy behind Trump needing Greenland, and we the people needing Greenland, in my opinion, if we hope to have any security against Russia and China. And Trump knows this. This isn't an idle threat by Trump. And Putin highlights this with one word. So the U.S. have really serious plans about Greenland. Serious. He knows the implications of the U.S. taking over Greenland. He has said it time and time again. And again, we're getting closer to the boiling point here. Putin's not going to stand down on this one. Trump knows Putin won't stand down on this one. So in that way, a bargaining chip or strategic resource. Go ahead, put it in. I'll show you right now. The Arctic. You now see the channels have opened up around the Arctic that allow for a flow of, well, between the U.S. and Russia. You see Alaska up there. Let me do my best John Madden here for you. Change this over real quick. Alaska and Russia. And here suddenly are these channels that are now open for trade and or military. Greenland sitting in a very strategic spot to be able to stave off any adversarial attack. And if that wasn't the case, then why all those numbers you see on there, let me go full screen, 1 through 14, are there so many military bases, observation points sitting within that area? Russia knows how critical it is. China knows how critical it is. And now the U.S. finally, under the Trump administration, is learning how critical it is to our future security. Because I certainly don't want Russia having that ease of ability to put their warships or their nuclear submarines that easily transitioned towards the U.S. border. You see, in that way, Putin and Trump are attempting to secure the same thing. The Biden administration did nothing about it. But let's go back to the brew up now. Because, of course, Macron and Starmer adding to the brew up. They want a war. I've told you that time and time again, and they prove it day after day, don't they? President Trump is waiting for a clear answer from Russians, Macron said. If he has the clear message the Russians are not coming to the table, he will feel deceived, betrayed, and he would have to react. Oh, that's what you want, Macron, isn't it? It's rather a condescending tone you gave to Trump. What are you going to do about it? Easy question. What are you going to do about it? Because Putin doesn't think you can do anything about it. And you know that, don't you? And without the U.S., there is nothing you can do about it. But I know you. Saber, rattle some more. It's what you're good at, right? Britain and France will lead reassurance force in Ukraine after peace deal with delegation heading to Kyiv within days to discuss the plan. Oh, I can't wait to hear this one. France and the UK, which are driving the initiative, will forge a reassurance force with several countries, but Ukrainians, European allies did not agree on all the proposed deployment of troops and only want some to take part. Who are we joking with here? This is how unallied the UK European allies are. They can't even put out a statement with any force whatsoever. It is not unanimous, he said. But we do not need unanimity to achieve it. No, you need troops. And you need armament, but you don't have those. You don't have enough to take them on. So who's kidding who? Starmer comes in. He adds to this argument. This is a force designated to deter in order to send the message to Putin that this deal is going to be defended. That's the best description of it. Putin laughs at you. Of course he does. Trump would laugh at you if you said it to him. But here's actually what Trump said.
I think that President Putin and President Zelensky are going to have to get together because you know what? We want to stop killing millions of people. You have young soldiers being killed. If you saw the pictures that I saw of the battlefield from satellite, you've never seen any pictures like that. Soldiers are being killed by the thousands a week, thousands of soldiers a week.
Well, no, we don't see it because the mainstream media doesn't allow you to see it because they, too, want this war to wage on. And then the nail in the coffin happens. Little Zelensky decides, knowing that the only person who could possibly ever defend him, because if he believes Starmer and Macron are going to do it, man, I got a bridge I want to sell him. I got 20 bridges I want to sell him. Of course, if I was to give him the bridges and expect repayment, he should have to repay. But no, because now he thumbs his nose at Trump. And the final nail in the coffin, he just does what he always does. Why does anyone here ever think it's going to be any different? Zelensky refuses to sign Donald Trump's problematic mineral deal amid tensions between world leaders. And Putin's listening and looking and sees that he stated that. And knows President Trump won't stand for that. So who wins in that statement? Macron? Starmer? Zelensky? Nope. Only one person wins in that statement. Everything but if it arises, we won't accept. Comes from a blogger who put this out, puts out the whole statement. Ukraine received a new agreement project from the U.S. regarding mineral resources, which is an entirely different document from the previous framework agreement. Ukraine will not recognize U.S. military aid as debt. And Zelensky? I'm sorry, bud. Sorry, not sorry. You just put your final nail in the coffin there. Why would you state that? Do you not understand how international diplomacy works? Of course you don't, because you were a comedian. And now you just gave Putin the green light, didn't you? But this is what Zelensky does. He talks to the Trump administration, promises to do something, goes home and tells the people the exact opposite. He always does that. Putin's already said recently that no real talks can start with him pretending to be in power. What's the UN have to say about this power struggle? Because Putin came out and said, go ahead and put a UN political system in there for now, and then we'll go to negotiating. Because Zelensky the clown, in Putin's opinion, has no authority. Now, argue with that or not, the UN, of course, comes out and says, well, you know, you have to recognize the government of Ukraine. We'd expect nothing less, right? Because they're all pushing in the same direction. But sure enough, immediately thereafter, Putin vows to finish off Ukraine. As a matter of fact, not long ago I said we'd grind them down. Now it looks like we'll finish them off. And you have hit your boiling point. And Zelensky, you did that to yourself. I know it was under the advisement, more than likely, of Starmer and Macron, who want to saber rattle right towards the next world war, and you give them what they want, and you didn't give Donald J. Trump, President Trump, what he wanted, and my friend, you have a problem. So now Trump is forced into a corner. I promise you I give you all the coverage of this, and it is critical to understand what's happening. So on multiple fronts, you know what this is? Diego Garcia may or may not relate to Russia. But the fact is this. You see, hardened shelters have now been built. You see there, the stealth bomber shelters? Looks like they're getting ready, aren't they? Well, they're more than getting ready. They're moving resources. 4 additional USAF, United States Air Force B-2 Spirit stealth bombers are heading to Diego Garcia, raising the total to 7, an unprecedented buildup of these strategic assets at the base. You forced the hand. Trump will respond. He has to push in all his chess pieces. Well, not all yet. There's more. And it's coming. And Putin moves one of his nuclear submarines right next to where J.D. Vance is in Greenland. the other boiling point. Panama Canal now. China pushing back on suddenly. Did you hear that story? Do you feel it all brewing up? This is what will happen before a final negotiation. And if these negotiations break, then brace for impact. Because the buildup by President Trump won't stop. It can't stop. Because Putin won't stop. He wants Ukraine, and he's not going to give up Greenland. And those two stories, which I have covered now for months, but the mainstream media avoids and just tries to say, oh, it's all about Iran, which it may be. There you go. Diego Garcia. Direct path into Iran. Very possible. But you moved your assets closer through the waterway that you could easily have done it through with the least amount of international diplomacy needed. That's why you're here. Because we don't just give you the headlines. No, we give you the details of what's happening as Trump deploys the stealth bombers. Putin declares we'll finish them off. Zelensky, no, we're not going to take that deal. Amazing how it all works when you just keep it real black and white and know where the actual battlefield now is. I hope you appreciated that broadcast. Hope you appreciated the information. Look forward to seeing your comments below. We love you all. Can't thank you enough for being here. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justice Knight, signing out.